Monday after Ole Miss has claimed a national title, taking home the hardware, winning the College World Series. And with that, we welcome our good friend Richard Cross, the host of Sports Talk Mississippi. Richard, what's going on today?
Well, it's a long drive home, but it is a happy drive home. There's a convoy of Mississippi license plates on Interstate 29 right now between Omaha and Kansas City. That seems to be their preferred route for a lot of folks. And convoy of airplanes, it's planes, trains, and automobiles to try and get to Omaha and then to get back home. And man, Gerard, what a scene it was the last 2 days. This was such a big deal, and the stakes were so high. We know how much college baseball matters in the state of Mississippi, and it felt like every Ole Miss fan was there. And I know that that's not actually true because there are a lot of people that would have loved to have been there that weren't able to pull it off. But it was an incredible environment, incredible home. Ole Miss won a national championship, and that's still taking a little getting used to say. But what a cool couple of days in the Midwest.
We play a little baseball here in Mississippi, do we not?
Yeah, I've heard that a time or two. I think a year ago what Mississippi State did stands on its own. I think a year ago or this year what Ole Miss accomplished stands on its own. But I know and understand a lot of people wanting to say, the state of Mississippi. And, you can't talk about college baseball in our state without talking about Southern Miss and with the outstanding high school programs and the outstanding junior college programs. But, national championship in junior college coming back to Poplarville this year.
Yep.
It just means so much. And, we've tried to kind of through the years, Gerard, figure out why is it such a big deal. And I don't know that we've ever landed on a 100% accurate answer. I mean, I think the fact that there are no professional programs, I think it's the fact that we've been good, right? I mean, we've been good for a long time at a lot of different places, and winning breeds more success and it breeds growth. And I don't know. But yeah. I do know it's impressive to see the success on a year-in, year-out basis.
I agree. I've got two thoughts, just my personal opinion of why Mississippi is now, I think, become the capital of college baseball and maybe baseball in general. First is Ron Polk. Ron Polk, I think, was the first to come out and show that baseball at the college level could be a major big deal. And you look at his teams and some of the players he produced going on to have stellar major league careers, you got to give him some credit. He kind of broke the mold on the way we think about college baseball. Heck, Richard, when I was in high school, you didn't think about going to play for the big programs you do today. You went to all these other schools. Delta State, Boo Ferris, who can forget him? South Alabama. With, what was it, Eddie Stanky, I think, down there. So you got that. And the other thing is just incredible youth programs in this state. I've watched it, in my 25 years of being around youth baseball. It's a pretty dang big deal, but I think those kind of laid the foundation for what we see today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't – in a lot of ways, I think if you wanted to call Ron Polk the godfather of Southeastern Conference baseball, I think you would be right to do that. I mean, people point to Skip Bertman because of the 5 national championships that LSU won while he was the head coach. But I think in a lot of ways, Skip was looking at what Ron was doing in Starkville, and he was, a few years in front of him when they got that thing started. But yeah, and look, I mean, there's a history before that, right? I mean, if you want to go back to Dudy Noble's days or Coach Gregory's days at Mississippi State, there were trips to the College World Series for them, and what Tom Swayze did back in the 50s, and then Jake in the after that, kind of down the line. I mean, there's a history, but this current level of success, it's different, and it's evident in the amount of money that's been invested in the stadiums and in the programs and in the coaches and just in everything that goes along with it. It's a beautiful thing, and it's nice to see the people who have invested those resources. I'm talking about fans.
Yeah.
Whether it's through buying season tickets or donating to programs or showing up and traveling. it's nice to get to see those folks kind of reap some of the rewards as well, in addition to the players and the coaches who put everything into it.
Yeah, and the naysayers, we historically don't ever seem to be able to get over the hump with Coach Bianco in the postseason. And this year was different. And what a weird setup it was. You started out like gangbusters, earning a top ranking of number 1 in the country, and then kind of didn't look like the same team through the middle in the conference season. And then all of a sudden, here you are on top again, last to get in the tournament.
Well, Gerard, in terms of the list of people that I'm happiest for, Mike Bianco and his wife, Cammie, who have meant so much to the Oxford community, are at the absolute top of the list. And I am grateful and thankful for the fact that we can never again have the conversation about, well, Ole Miss needs to go a different direction with its baseball program.
Yeah.
Keith Carter jumped on the postgame show with David Kellum yesterday, and he admitted that, this was a difficult season, and, he had gotten lots of texts and emails and conversations about direction for the program. And he very definitively said on the radio to DK and Hindu yesterday, or Brad Henderson yesterday, Mike Bianco is our baseball coach, and he will be our baseball coach for as long as he wants to be.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was really cool. And look, you know what? I mean, Mike doesn't get to sit back and just bask in the glory of this national championship. There are two things that have to happen and have to happen fast. One, the transfer portal in terms of people entering it, that window closes on July. And so they are trying to rebuild this roster for next year, number one. And number two, he's about to head to Cary, North Carolina, and coach Team USA, the collegiate national baseball team. He is the manager and head coach of that team this year, and then they're going to jump on an airplane and go to the Netherlands and represent the United States in summer baseball. So, I mean, what a year. What if Mike Bianco is able to grab a gold medal in addition to a national championship trophy in the same summer?
That's amazing.
That's not a bad few days' work.
Amazing. You know something, speaking of Coach Bianco, Richard, I know you've been a close observer, of course, in your role as a sports journalist. I have, too, from a baseball perspective. I've watched Coach Bianco since day one, in charge of this program. But here's what I was going to say. It looked to me like in the postseason, and in particular in Omaha, his approach was a little different. You know that Coach Bianco, he's an intense individual. He can be intense. And I mean that in a good way, but sometimes baseball's different in that you cannot play with tension. And players feed on their coach. And I think historically that maybe was a problem, but it looked to me like he just had a totally different personality and demeanor just observing on television and talking to my wife and daughter, who was a Diamond Girl for 4 years, in that dugout with him when she was up there, and she even observed it. Your thoughts?
Mike he has softened a little bit through the years. I actually had a conversation with somebody late last night about this. I said, look, he has evolved, and he needed to evolve, right? I mean, the game has changed. The way you call pitches has changed. The way you treat players has changed a little bit. And it's not like it's been a dragging, kicking, and screaming evolution, but it hasn't necessarily been an easy evolution.
Sure.
I mean, Mike's got to be convinced. He's got to understand. But he realizes that the game has changed and has evolved some of the way that he handles it. And I don't think it's just this year. I think it's the last few years.
Agree.
His demeanor, his interaction with his players. But look, when things are going bad, there are a lot of coaches, that's when you turn up the volume, right? That's when you light into your team. He did it one time, and it was deserved. It was that Tuesday night where they got beat 13-3 by Southeast Missouri State and looked like they didn't care. It's the only time he got after this team, and they responded. And, I think that was the time that some of his older players realized, okay, we've got to take the reins on this thing. And that's when you had Tim Elko and, Ben Van Cleve and some other guys that are kind of leaders on that team, Kevin Graham and Justin Bench, kind of grab everybody and say, all right, let's go see what this thing can be. And what this thing can be turned into a national championship.
No doubt. I think you're spot on with that respect, and that's exactly what I saw happen as well, is that the senior players, that had been there a while. They took the reins and they led this team, and it looked like Coach let them do it to his credit, and we come home with a national championship. Richard, be safe, be careful. We'll talk to you soon, and enjoyed having you on Middays.
Thanks, Gerard. Talk to you soon, bud.
We'll step aside for a break right here. Great music there, Rhino. Appreciate that. We'll come right back with more. We got some video to play for you.